Sir, one student is asking, sir, you're from the ministry. How do you see the scope of company secretaries under Companies Act 2013? How the scope is enlarged? I think as KMP you have covered already. I think again.
I think I mean, you can be a part and parcel of the company. Actually, that is the most important thing. And apart from that, as a company secretary, that you must be knowing the Rule 8 relating to KMP, which has been modified or amended. I will take up that particular point at a later stage. That a company having share capital of more than, paid up share capital of more than 5 crores can appoint a company secretary, whole-time company, I should say, whole-time company secretary. Have to appoint, they will have to appoint, there's a requirement. And of course, in the case of companies having more than 10 crores of paid up share capital, the company secretary will form part of the KMP. So this is one aspect. Then other aspects which have been covered, I should say that incorporation of the company, you can take active part, whether you are in practice or in your service, whether if the company in which you are serving desires to have some more companies incorporated. It's not required that they should be holding a subsidiary of that company. Some independent companies they would like to incorporate. So you must be helping those companies or your employer in that way by giving your service as a consultant for the purpose of incorporating company, creation of charge. Already it was there in 1956. But more above all, I should say as a valuer. You can act as a valuer for the purpose of merger amalgamation, and you can advise the company what should be the right value of the shares to be issued to the transferor company in that case. Then also, because NCLT is in the process, you can appear before NCLT where if the company goes into liquidation, and you can argue your matter before the NCLT. That's just like CLB, practicing company secretary is appearing, or a company secretary in the company, if the case is there before CLB, he is representing his company and putting his facts before the CLB. Like that, they will be also give an active part once the NCLT comes into play. So there's a greater role. That's what I was telling. There's a greater role for company secretary. So far the present act is concerned, and this issue was discussed in JG Rani committee also, and at that time secretarial audit concept was discussed at length. There are certain members who are not in favor, but they are from the industry side. But ultimately it has now come, and it is going to give a boost to the professionals, company secretaries, to go for secretarial audit. Secretarial audit, one thing I should say, whenever, as a practicing company secretary, whenever you go for secretarial audit, be careful that each and every document is looked into before you certify or give your compliance certificate. Yes. Or issue a compliance certificate in that regard. Please look into the document. Simply by signing your compliance certificate will not help you out, and you can put into trouble, and you can lose your membership.
In fact, MCA also has brought the circular for pre-certification of V-forms. If you pre-certify wrongly, then disciplinary actions will be taken to the institute.
Yes. So be careful in that regard, and be a part of the society as a whole, and the industry community, our industrial community. So you can give a proper participation, and in that process you will help the institute also to come up to that extent.
One student is asking, I am registered under the old syllabus. Should I study the new act? Yes, you just have to study the new act. If you are registered under the old syllabus, all new syllabus, Companies Act 2013 notified provisions are applicable to you. So you will have to read the new notified provisions of new act and the existing provisions of Companies Act 1956. Sir, there has been queries on e-voting. Probably, sir will have a talk, highlight on the provisions of e-voting, and he'll give a talk on e-voting for 10 minutes. Probably we'll take 2-3 queries now, sir. Then after a break, you can talk on e-voting. Can you please clarify the limits on private placement? Section 42 talks about private placement. Sir, 50%, sir. 50% for one and 200% in a financial year. No, sir? It is 50% at a time and 200% in a financial years. This exclude QIB and shares issued under ESOP. So this is the limit. One more query regarding the private placement only. Is there any time limit specified for issue of shares under the private placement? Yes, it is within 60 days it has to be issued. Otherwise, you have to refund the money
60 days from the date of notice, no?
Yes, date of letter of notice. Otherwise, date of receipt of money. Otherwise, you have to refund the money within 15 days from the expiry of 60 days. If you fail to refund, then you will have to pay 12% interest. Friends, now we'll break for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, Mr. Biswas will give a talk on e-voting. On e-voting, we have received at least 10 queries. He'll address all the queries in his, his talk will take care of all the queries, and we'll meet after 10 minutes. Thank you, sir. Welcome back, students. Now Mr. Biswas will guide you on e-voting provisions. Since we have received a lot of queries on e-voting provisions, he'll give a talk on e-voting provisions that will help. So,
okay, let us discuss about e-voting now. You see, with the changes in the electronic media and the old system of calling general meeting and requiring personal attendance, later on postal ballot was introduced. Now, because now the e-voting has come into existence, and this is very important, and now it is getting its own, going to get its own place, and in future, of course, e-voting will take the major portion of the voting. Main thing is that in the case of normal voting, that is personal attendance in the meeting of the shareholders, you see, in a company, in a listed company, shareholders are spread all over the country. So each and every shareholder cannot attend in the shareholders meeting, and that created a lot of problem. Because at that time you might have seen the law requires the persons present. If special resolution is required to be 75% of the attending shareholders should cast their vote. Of course, either through proxy or personal presence, personally. But e-voting was contemplated to get a greater participation from the shareholders. That is the major point, one important issue which you should keep it in mind, that now shareholders from sitting from anywhere, either they can use the route of postal ballot or e-voting is also can be used altogether in that way. As per Rule 20, because law section doesn't speak much about e-voting, but it has referred to the procedural aspect. There is Rule 20 of the Companies Management and Administration Rule 2014. Every listed company or company having not less than 1,000 shareholders shall provide to the members the facility of exercising their right to vote in the general meeting by electronic means. So any company, any listed company expected to have more than 1,000 shareholders, or any other company, need not be a listed company, unlisted company can also be there. They can, but they should have at least 1,000 shareholders. So, and the company is required to provide the facilities of electronic voting. Every private company, for private company, this is not mandatory. Of course, it's discretion, and of course, it entirely depends upon the private companies to adopt this particular um, voting method of voting. A member may exercise his right to vote at the general meeting by electronic means, and the company may pass a special resolution, any resolution, by electronic voting system in accordance with the provisions of this rule. So, for the purpose of this e-voting, company has to pass a resolution to that effect, and that resolution will speak for itself. There are two things: meaning of e-voting, voting for electronic means, and voting electronic voting system. These two words has been means a secured system of voting, because that's what I was telling, that once e-voting has been adopted, system has to be more a safe system has to be introduced that will display what are the basic criteria that should display the electronic ballot, recording of the votes of the members, and finally number of votes polled in favor and against the resolution, such that the entire voting exercise by way of electorate gets registered and counted in an electronic registry in a centralized server with adequate cyber security. The system has been, you see, it is all electronically done, so there is a lot of security measures have to be adopted for the purpose of it, but at the time of electronic voting. Otherwise, it can be manipulated at any stage. So, display of electronic ballot. First of all, the electronic ballot should be displayed. Then, recording of votes. The members, whosoever members opt for electronic e-voting, then that recording should record a vote of the members and the number of votes polled in favor and against. Postal ballot is another method in which ballot papers are sent to the respective shareholders, each and every shareholders. There is a format for that, for exercising their right to vote, in which the contents of the resolution is given in one side, and then vote cast in favor and against. The two columns are there, and the shareholder has to mark the particular column in which he would like to exercise his right to write. The point is that if the shareholder, it may happen the company that a shareholder may hold a substantial number of shares, and he wants to exercise 50% of his shares in favor of the resolution and against the and 50% against the resolution. In that eventuality, he can mention 50% or number of shares he can. If it is 500, 250 shares, in respect of 250 shares, he is exercising his right in favor of the resolution, and in 250 shares in favor of his right to exercise against the resolution. So all these things can be manipulated in that way, and that ballot paper, after he has completed within a specified period of time, that has to go to the sent to the company, and by envelope. The company will appoint a scrutinizer in that case, and scrutinizer, that letter, that postal ballot will be addressed to the scrutinizer, and scrutinizer will look into, and he will decide how many votes have been polled in favor of the resolution, how many votes have been polled in against the resolution. So all these things have been, that's a postal ballot, and e-voting, of course, that's a separate system altogether. Here it is being done electronically, where in the postal ballot one has to do it physically, and the information has to go to the company in a physical mode.